And so one of the things we have to remember is that it comes down to the person. As I said before, if you're the person who is a deliberate human, who is connected with people and adds to the culture and lightens the load on everybody else and is good to be around and makes work a better place, it's harder for them to lay you off. But there's a flip side to that. You might still get laid off. And if you do, you're going to have more opportunities than the person who just shows up and is being efficient. Because if you're known, other people, have worked with you, they've gone on to other companies. When they hear you're available, they're like, well, let's get her. She's fantastic. Or they make a job for you. Some other company makes a job for you. That happened to me 20 years ago. I got laid off from a job, and another company who knew me in the community created a marketing and business development position for me. And people are like, well, how did that happen?
Your business's success depends on relationships with customers, relationships with employees, and relationships with stakeholders. What do they all have in common? They're all human. Because no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Welcome to the Human Connection Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Ponto. Each week I bring you stories, insights, and practical advice from experts that you can apply to your growing company and daily life. This week, I'm excited to connect with Thom Singer. He is a keynote speaker and conference catalyst who helps organizations create stronger human connections in an AI-driven world. For more than 15 years, he has spoken to audiences around the globe about relationships, trust, community, and the power of meaningful conversations. In addition to his speaking work, he is the CEO of the Austin Technology Council, a longtime podcast host, and the author of 12 books. His message is simple. All opportunities come from people. Congrats on helping organizations create stronger human connections in the AI-driven world, and welcome to the Human Connection Podcast.
Best podcast to be on if it's about human connection.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I'm really excited to have you on because it seems like a topic that a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners are realizing is more and more important as the AI era continues, about the importance of building those community and collaboration and conversations, and how important it is to have those human connections when you're trying to scale and grow a business. And so I'm interested in hearing more about your thoughts on how to create those opportunities for businesses to succeed, and what sort of trends you're seeing in the business world that people need to be aware of when it comes to how to position themselves.
Yeah, I think that one of the things is, for the last decade or maybe even more, as a society, we have been very focused on technology and productivity. And lots of good things have come out of that. I'm very pro technology. I work for a technology organization. I utilize all the new kind of cutting edge technologies in ways that work for my business. However, because we've focused so much on tech and on productivity, we've sort of created a workplace filled with what I call efficient strangers. People are getting the work done. People are getting more work done than they ever have before. But the people who work inside your company, the people who work with your clients, the people who are in your general community, do they really know each other, or are they just efficient strangers? And when people get to know each other better, all surveys show that when people have friends at work and friends in their industry, they'll work harder, stay at the company longer, and be more satisfied in their jobs. So those two things are being pulled in opposite directions. And I think the antidote to this is people have to be a deliberate human. They have to embrace the technology, use the technology, be an expert to the level that they can be with all these tools, but they have to choose people.
Yeah, and I noticed the way you just said like the deliberate human or something like that. There's like where that is kind of like a keyword, and I believe that the people have been so focused on efficiency and speed and the technology and automation to get the business results, and they've been trying to cut out all the kind of human elements because they're usually slower and a little messier and harder to predict, just because we're irrational and complicated. But the problem is that when it's gotten this far, it's not sustainable, and people, the mental strain and the kind of lack of connection is eroded the trust that makes everything else possible. And so yeah, I think the key for businesses to get the results they want going forward is to not keep pushing on the automation and the tech as much, and let off that and invest more in the people side of things. Because when you have a healthier balance of those, you can still get productive, efficient work done and be getting great results. But you then, when you're actually actively supporting the humans involved, then you actually get it lasts longer, and you get to keep the progress you make instead of having these kind of open, like revolving, bring in new clients, they stay for a little bit and then they leave because they don't really have a relationship, or we bring in new employees, they work for a few months and then they leave because there's no real connection there, or they're burnt out, and just there's this wastefulness in the relationship side of things that is a big hole for companies to fill. And once they patch that up, they'll see that they're actually going to get a lot more out of their efforts than what they're currently getting.
Yeah, I mean, all the surveys show that when people in the workplace have real friendships, real connections, that the company's going to be more successful and people are going to work harder. And the flip side is that's important for the company, but it's also important for the individual, because there have been over 6 figures worth of tech layoffs just in the first half of this year. And, when layoffs happen in these big companies, yeah, there's a list and they're trying to maximize things. But at the end of the day, a human looks at that list and there's 2 types of people. There's the efficient strangers who are on the list. And then there's the people who the boss doesn't want to see go because they show up, they help people, they add to the culture. So their job performance might be similar to somebody else, but the decision is being made based on the fact that if they leave, it's going to hurt the culture. It's going to hurt the morale. It's going to, people are going to miss them. So those people tend to get spared a little bit more than the people who are just there being efficient.
Yeah, and there's not to mention all the kind of institutional knowledge and the trust that these companies have sacrificed when they make these big layoffs, and whether it's because of like over hiring during COVID or whatever, that kind of, or it is just like AI excuses they're trying to replace people, whatever the reason is, it still comes back to kind of lack of leadership from the executive team for making those decisions in the first place, and not thinking far enough ahead, and not understanding the human element of their employees. They kind of see them as job titles or expenses rather than these are the people that make the company work. And so it's the leaders, the lesson is for people that want to avoid that is to be building communities inside their companies and having and kind of building those relationships again, like you're not just efficient strangers, but having actual lived culture, not just something that lives on a poster in the break room. and actually let people like feel connected to the work they're doing and feel understood and are able to show up as themselves in the workplace. And it's not just like an easy flip that switch and make it happen. But so what are some of the ways you've seen companies do it the right way, or kind of make this transition from, we recognize we have these issues, how do we solve them? What are some of the ways you've seen it work in the past?
Well, I'll be honest, I don't think companies are making this a priority yet. I do think it's going to happen. If you look at the books that are being released in 2026 by really well-known authors, like people who have New York Times bestsellers, several of them, people like Adam Grant, Brene Brown, Angela Duckworth, the CEO of LinkedIn. Some of the books have already been released. Some are being released over the next 6 months. I have identified a dozen books coming out from major publishing houses that are either directly about this idea of human connection, or it's the subtext of what's going on in the book. Brene Brown's book isn't about that, but there's a huge underlying piece of her newest book about sort of being able to relate to people and being grounded in your relationships. And so one of the things we have to remember is that it comes down to the person. As I said before, if you're the person who is a deliberate human, who is connected with people and adds to the culture and lightens the load on everybody else and is good to be around and makes work a better place, it's harder for them to lay you off. But there's a flip side to that. You might still get laid off. And if you do, you're going to have more opportunities than the person who just shows up and is being efficient. Because if you're known, other people, have worked with you, they've gone on to other companies. When they hear you're available, they're like, well, let's get her. She's fantastic. Or they make a job for you. Some other company makes a job for you. That happened to me 20 years ago. I got laid off from a job, and another company who knew me in the community created a marketing and business development position for me. And people are like, well, how did that happen? Well, it's because people are engaged in the community. They know you do good work. They know you're passionate. They know you're going to make the company a better place. And therefore, you're going to have that opportunity. So while I don't think companies across the board are pushing this relationship thing between employees and with clients, some places are scared to let second tier employees have relationships with clients because they're afraid they'll leave and take them with them. So they keep a boundary between sort of second tier employees and the people they work with, because they don't want that employee to leave and be able to poach the client. And my thought is, if you're doing a good job of relationship management at the top, somebody else can't just take the client. Now, if you suck at it, an underlying employee can take those people with them. So I think companies are being hurt by the fact that they're not yet thinking about the fact that human interaction, what I call HI, is just as important as AI. I'm not undercutting the cutting edge technology. I think it's important. I'm trying to learn it every single day. However, we have to not think that it replaces the human relationship side, because at the end of the day, all opportunities are going to come from people. It doesn't matter what it is. People think, oh, I'm going to have these agents that are going to do the work. Well, I can tell you right now, your AI agent isn't going to talk to my AI agent and buy something. People are going to have to be in the loop at some point. And when people care about other people, you're going to have more success for the individual and the company.
Yeah, and your feed froze for a second. I just want to make sure I got it. So it's, when companies kind of afraid of investing in the people because they don't want them to leave, or like they're afraid they're going to take that the stuff they've invested in them and go to another company. And yeah, I think I've had people on the show talking about this, and there might be that risk, but there's also they're much more likely to stay in some ways because they're feeling supported in a way that they're not necessarily going to support another company. And then, so that fear is kind of unfounded. And then I actually had I blanking on the name of the guest, but you were talking about how his goal as a leader is to support his people and bring them up. And so when they do leave and go to another company, he has a strong in at that company if they're going to be like, because they got so much value from him, and he can always bring up more people. And so the mindset shift of, yeah, they might leave, but then now you have an amazing in at this other business. There's that upside that people they have that kind of scarcity mindset, I think, versus abundance mindset when it comes to, if someone leaves and now they're a great leader, and so they go somewhere else, now you have an amazing connection to another company you wouldn't have had otherwise, because you wouldn't know anyone there. But not only do you know someone now, they feel like owe you a lot because you've helped them grow and got that opportunity. So I think it's that perspective shift on the importance of having these relationships. And yeah, even if someone that you've supported goes somewhere else, and seeing it as just a negative, like you wasted the investment, is not accurate, because you still have the human relationship you built with this person. And so yeah, that HI, which I haven't heard before and I love it, is still more important than people realize, because and one of the ways I've explained it is, like, if all the employees didn't show up to your company, you don't have a business anymore. Like, you have the fanciest tech stack, the nicest office, the best like AI tools, but if people don't show up, nothing's getting done. And so if you don't invest in that HI, then you're going to be struggling compared to people that have invested in the AI and the HI at the same time.
Yep, absolutely. And in fact, that's my keynote speech that I give is called Human Interaction, HI, in an AI-driven world. And it's amazing how many people get really excited about the fact that this isn't an either or. This is an addition to, right? We're living in this AI-driven world, and whether you're for it or against it, you're not going to change it. That train is out of the station. It is moving. So we have to realize, how do we, as people, add on to our value alongside the value of the tech? And that value is through the relationships that we've had along the way. So it's people you worked with at other companies. Like you said, if you have a good relationship, just because somebody leaves, that relationship doesn't end. So it's how do we do that? And then how well do you make people feel welcome? How do you, as a person, you don't have to be the HR manager, but on someone's first day in your company, how do you make them feel? And a lot of people just stay in their cubicle. They barely say hello unless introduced to somebody new. But the people who are more gregarious and go out and make people feel good on that first day, those are the people who suddenly have more power within the company, because everybody likes them, knows them, and trusts them.
Yeah, there's a couple of recent episodes that have released for the podcast of people have talked about the power of like that. One of the guys in Eric Isle he does this thing where it's like an hour long meeting of just people coming up and telling stories about themselves to like 5 minutes, and how much that boosted like productivity and the overall culture, because people no longer just saw their coworkers by the job title. It was like, oh, this person also has similar experiences outside of work that I have, or cares about the same sort of things, or has been through the similar sort of experiences. And the understanding people and seeing them as humans with lives outside of work and similar values adds so much more to the employee experience, and also therefore the performance of the business. Because if your employees are happy and engaged and supported, then they're going to treat the clients better and deliver better for the clients, which means the clients are happier and more likely to be spending more and referring in more business. And so the business overall succeeds. But you have to invest in the employees in these ways that hopefully more companies realize as these books come out is essential, but they've been neglecting for the past 2 decades or so.
So during the pandemic, I was consulting with a law firm. I do a lot of work speaking at like law firm partner retreats. And one of my past clients, everybody was on lockdown. Everybody was in their homes during the height of lockdown, and they were doing a morning 1-hour check-in meeting, but it was very cold. And the advice I gave them was pick one person a day and just rotate it. And they start the meeting by they have to take their laptop and show you the thing that is most precious to them that is in their home. And so a lot of people showed their kids or their pets or their spouse, but other people had, their grandfather's Purple Heart framed on the wall. And so you never knew what you were going to get. And then what happened is after about 2 weeks of this, people really wanted to get creative. So they'd say, yeah, my kids are the most precious thing, but let me show you something else. And he said that to this day, they occasionally will do that in a meeting. Like if there's someone new, they'll have them, even though they're all in person again, they'll have somebody tell what's the most precious thing in your house. And then they have to describe it, because then you get to know that person beyond just their business card.
Yeah. And I love that the term like precious, because it's not valuable. It's like, what do you care the most about in your house? And
Yep.
And when you understand what people really care about, then it gives you a lot more insight and understanding of who they are as a human being. And I can see how that would transform a otherwise sterile meeting with a bunch of attorneys into something a lot more engaging and fun and team building in nature. So for a leader who's thinking maybe that they need to work on this, on kind of engaging more their employees more and building more of a community besides just what's on in the values page on the business plan, what are some of the recommendations you have for people to get started in this endeavor?
Well, just start asking questions, right? Engage with people, get people to open up, ask your employees open-ended questions about things, in life and in their work, and let people talk to you about what's important to them. If I say that my sort of tagline is community, collaboration, and conversations can solve all problems. So ask yourself, within the walls of this company, are we promoting community? Are we promoting collaboration? And are we promoting conversations? And if you're unsure, then you're not doing it right. So community, collaboration, and conversations, if that is at the root of everything that you're doing, all of this will come naturally. If people feel, humans haven't changed, right, over the years. I mean, if we look back, there have been massive disruptions in technology throughout history, right? You can go back, there's the printing press, there's the Industrial Revolution, there's the introduction of the automobile, there's the computer age, and every time this happened, people said, whoa, this is moving too fast, or, oh my gosh, this is going to cost jobs, or this technology is going to change society. And every time they were right, but they were also wrong, because it's never been about the technology. It's been about the people and how we use the tools and how we adapt. And so if you're looking to the fact that, yeah, we're living through massive change, but let's get back to this idea of community, because the thing that hasn't changed through all of the disruption throughout human history, people want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they want to feel they belong. And so community, collaboration, and conversation will let people feel seen, heard, and belonging if you're doing it right. And if you're not doing it right, then you know it, because you don't have these things happening inside your business.
Yeah, I like to say that despite how much technology has changed over the centuries or the decades, we're still running on the same OS as the last 100,000 years. And so it's really about going back to those basics of community collaboration conversation. Well, thank you so much for connecting with me today, Thom. If you enjoyed this episode of the Human Connection podcast, please leave a comment, and subscribe. If you want to connect with myself or Thom, check out the links in the show notes. And remember, no matter if your business is B2B or B2C, it's really H to H, human to human. Happy connecting.